Vardøhus Fortress. This is one of my favourite objective maps. If I redo my old guard guide, I'll be sure to include a method for Vardøhus Endless, but this video is solely on Vardøhus Fortress's objective version, and its associated badge. So Cold Front is the badge for Vardøhus Fortress. It is to survive the map in one life. While it doesn't unlock anything on its own, it's one of the requirements to get the old guard badge. Said guide will of course be linked in the top right for your convenience. For team composition, I would suggest at least 2 sappers, a surgeon, a chaplain, and a nice mix of firearms classes, especially infantry and officers for this map. This map also has a freezing mechanic, or Frostbite. I will go into more depth on the Frostbite mechanic in a future video, just know it means you can't stay outside for too long or you will get very slow and eventually start taking damage, so stick indoors or near those little fire pits. So the players will spawn in the cellar as Danish soldiers, and your first objective is rather simple. Collect the round shot and swab to load the cannon. Zombies will slowly trickle in during this time, so make sure they don't stack up. It's important to stick with your team because you don't want to get ambushed. I've seen that happen a few times. During this opening time, sappers should get to work building barricades around the front gate, just to make the next part a little quicker and a little easier. When you do collect a round shot or swab, if you can announce it in the chat, otherwise just like parade it around on your way to the cellar, just to let your teammates know that you found it so they don't have to look for it. As for the randomized locations, there are 3 for each item. For the round shot, it is either up here in the lookout tower, in this shed near where you spawn, and in this side shack on the left side. And for the swab, it can be found on the right side of that side shack, inside of the main building on the top floor here, and in the barracks to the left of spawn. Once you have one of each, you can load the cannon and actually get going with the map itself. I'll suggest every teammate to collect a shovel before going to the gate to dig out the snow. Eventually, I'll have a video on the shovel, just for now, just not dig stuff. And as a sapper, if you brought the spade, you can use that as well. If the sappers did their jobs right from earlier, then you'll have a nice wall to protect yourself. Half the team should focus on digging, and the other half just making sure no zombies are getting through. When you get through, make your way into that little barracks house thing. Half the team should again focus on digging out the doorway. You can jump through when it's not completely dug, but you might as well dig it out completely for your less inclined teammates. The other half should help cover the retreat from the window, taking down any zombies that may be following. And once that's done, everyone needs to stick as a group and just keep going. There's a brief section in this boathouse or whatever where you can warm up if you need to, then onto the ice. Do note it's slippery and there's a big old group of shamblers hanging out. Be careful with your movement, you can easily just slide around, you can slide right into the group. I always chuck a good tar bottle at the horde before going down, so it tends to make life a little easier. Then of course, make your way up the ladder and into our first proper defense point, the church. Note to the developers, I love how many churches there are in the game, so keep it up, I appreciate it. Because churches are pretty. So in this church, your main objective is to ring that bell. But do not do that yet. That would be very bad. If you have sappers on your team, they need to get started as soon as possible. Zombies will come from both the window on the inside and from the graveyard on the outside. That's why I recommend at least 2 sappers, since it makes everyone else's jobs way easier. When you have a good defense, including some stakes and maybe caltrops, then you can start ringing the bell. I'll suggest getting your most combat useless teammate to do that, like a surgeon or a chaplain or someone who just doesn't know what they're doing. It takes exactly 27 rings from the church bell to signal the HMS Undaunted, which will be your rescue from Vardøhus Fortress. It doesn't take too long, and as soon as you don't go meleeing bombers like a dullard, the sooner you'll get through pretty easily. Okay, when the Undaunted signals back, that's your cue to wrap up operations at the church. Take out the rest of the zombies and make sure all the barricades and whatnot are completely deconstructed by the time you get through the next snow pile. And when we are actually at the finale. Now do note, when you go down, you won't be able to go back up, so just remember, don't leave anything important up there. You know, if you placed a bandage box, make sure it's empty by the time you go down. Vardøhus Fortress is one of the shortest maps in all of Guts and Blackpowder, so I mean, we're already at the finale. This is where you need to lock in. Sappers immediately need to get cracking on barricades and stakes along the dock. I'll suggest spacing barricades out per the pylons of the dock, as it's a good distance to not get your entire defense blown up by a single bomber. The more combat ineffective classes, maxing out to about 4 players, should go to the cannons on the right side from the dock. Here, 2 players need to focus on shooting the cannons in a sequence, so like 1, then 1, then 1, then 1. right? So it's like bam, bam, like in a sequence, so you continuously have a rhythm of cannon fire. The third or the fourth player, need to focus on reloading the cannons. I'd also suggest having an officer here as part of that group of 4 as to charge when the boat arrives, just to make it safely back to the dock. And while that's happening, one player can go up to the lighthouse. You can start the gears and turn on one of the lights before starting the finale, so you like leave one of the lights dim. And I'll do that while waiting for the actual finale to happen to be more efficient. Now of course, in preparation for the finale, make sure the cannons are loaded with canister shot, not round shot. And the sappers should have a good defense ready. Then, when all that is done, you can start the lighthouse. The guy in the lighthouse needs to make a mad dash to the dock, so make sure he's warm, we don't want him slow, because zombies will start coming down from the ridge as soon as that lighthouse is lit, like it's real quick. The infantry need to prioritize shooting the bombers coming down, with the rest of the classes mixing between shooting bombers if they can, and simply slashing the zombies at the finale. It can help to have warning stakes out front to tackle the bombers, like a few stakes dotted out the front just to take out any bombers that may be straying coming in. If a bomber does get through the defenses, use any extra pushes your team gets to build new barricades in the front, right? Like if you're being pushed back and you get like a brief little break, use that to push forward with the sapper and get new walls placed. The dock has a very limited area, so you need to secure as much of it as you can. The finale lasts for about 3 or so minutes. During this time, ensure the cannons are fired intermittently and the zombies don't take too much of the dock. Once the ship is in clear view from the dock, you have to let the cannon crews know, either by chat, like shooting at them, or just trusting that they'll be able to see it. As the cannon crew, when you see the ship, I'd recommend either using an officer's charge or a chaplain's crucifix, or just gunning it, to easily make your way back to the dock. Then, of course, when the boat swings in, make sure to jump aboard, don't jump into the water, it's pretty cold. Here's the only respawn for Vardøhus fortress as well, solely British seamen. Then, when you're on the boat, you are safe. Making it through the entirety of Vardøhus fortress in one life will result in you getting the Cold Front badge, so congratulations. Thank you for watching as always, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you found some useful nuggets of information from this, how to play the map a little more efficiently and a little more safely. So I'll see you when I see you.